There are rabbis in Israel who wrote a few books, one called the King's Road, where they say, according to Jewish halakha, you can rape enemy women and you can kill enemy babies. And this book, there was a trial, and the rabbi, he didn't get to jail, but he's free now and he still teaches. And
he's a rabbi?
Not only one, a few. And their books were distributed to soldiers before getting into Gaza. But this is not the Ministry of Education, so you cannot say these are textbooks.
Yeah.
Everyone can publish whatever they want, but they are not punished, these people. This is what I'm saying. You teach hate and you teach racism when you want to dehumanize people in order to control them, or eliminate them, or exterminate them. Israeli discourse is a racist discourse, not only towards Palestinians, but towards Jewish minorities as well. The way they present Palestinians is the main issue.
את הערבים? כעם? את הפלסטינים. זה בטח שאני שונא אותם.
Well, I find that if there was a racist manual to write books, they follow it by the letter. Okay?
Wow.
All the categories of racist discourse are there, both visual and verbal, and rhetoric. Now, racism, first of all, Palestinians are never shown as normal human beings, only as terrorists, primitive farmers and refugees. They are always defined as a problem. So they are a problem, they are the enemy, and that's what the children know. They don't know anything else because they never meet Palestinians. The idea is to promote the idea that they don't exist. Otherwise, we shall have another Auschwitz, another Treblinka. This is in the books.
So from the age of 3, I think you said, from the age of 3 it begins? Whether it's so the propaganda starts at the age of 3.
Yes, and also Holocaust education.
People here say we want to kill all the Arabs, even the infants, even the babies are terrorists, okay?
ההשקעה הגדולה ביותר שלנו זה בחינוך.
They might be playing up to the camera, but these songs are part of their regular repertoire.
On one hand, you traumatize them, you turn them into heterophobic human beings. They're afraid of anyone who is a foreigner, who is not Jewish. So on one hand, you have this horrible Holocaust education, which is re-traumatizing every year.
And this is starting from the age of 3?
It starts from the age of 3 now, yes. And on the other hand, you have this militaristic education, a military man coming to the kindergarten. Children are educated to be soldiers. This is it.
In elementary school, you always see around you all kinds of soldiers. We call it teacher soldiers. So you always see soldiers also within the education system. Sometimes they even teach you something or they help you with your homework and are always around. So this kind of military becomes also a very, very strong part of the identity of the good guys. And then when you get to high school, you start literally learning how to be a soldier already with the age of 16. Because you're supposed to, once you finish high school, you're supposed to quite immediately, as soon as possible, with 18, go to the army. It's obligatory.
Once they graduate, most Jewish Israelis will go straight to the military to do their 2 to 3 years of mandatory service.
So the system is also very connected to prepare you for that, to be a good soldier.
And so they are constantly in panic. When you're 6 years old or 5 years old, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, Pharaoh, the ancient Persian, the Arabs, the Nazis are all the same for them. They all the time want to exterminate us. All the time. You can imagine, Ethiopian children who came yesterday and all this is imposed on them. They wet in their beds. They are terrible things. And I went to read books to the children once. So they brought me very nice children's books. And I asked the little girl, what is it here? She said, this is a soldier. He coming to kill us. One little boy told me the Arabs, they destroyed our temple and they drove us out of Egypt.
המדינה שלנו, הארץ שלנו, הכל פה שלנו.
אתם יודעים
ולהראות לערבים שהארץ שלנו.
So it's all mixed up.
It's a complete brainwash.
It's a brainwash. It's a mind infection. Richard Dawkins talks about mind infection. It's much more than brainwash. I mean, they grow up in panic, complete, constant, permanent panic.
A computer is a versatile machine which obeys implicitly whatever instructions you program into it. A computer is automatically vulnerable to viruses precisely because it is a machine that obeys whatever instructions are given it in the correct language. A child brain is a machine which obeys whatever instructions it's given by its parents for the very good reason that I've already told you. Therefore, the child brain is also vulnerable to parasitization by viral code. If the child brain could tell which was good advice and which was bad advice, it wouldn't need the advice in the first place. That's the whole point. It needs the advice, and therefore it is automatically vulnerable to the equivalent of computer viruses.
On one hand, they are absent from our life. And on the other hand, they are a problem that we have to solve.
למה זה מעשה טוב להרוג עשרות ערבים?
לא רק ערבים הולכים, יום לפני כן הם גם צעקו להרוג את היהודים.
So in school, is there any teachings that says we're going to live with the Palestinians?
Never. Israel never had peace education and never encouraged any peace education or coexistence or meetings or anything like that. They are private enterprises by private schools. Officially, there's never been a peace education or a peace program or a coexisting program.
We need to kill Arabs.
One of the most important principles or ideals of Israel and Zionism is to be a Jewish majority. That's why they bring all kinds of Jews from all over the place, the world, and non-Jews if they're white, in order to keep the Jewish majority. But this is a fake, because if you think about the whole population which Israel controls, the Palestinians are half and even more already. It is a racist society from the beginning, not only towards Palestinians, towards Arab Jews, towards Ethiopian Jews, Yemenite Jews. When they brought the Yemenites to replace the Arab workers, this was the first thing. And then they did the same thing to the Ethiopian, to the Moroccans, and so on. They brought them in, not in order to include them in the society, but in order to make them their servants and to keep the Jewish majority. So racism is not only towards Palestinian, but towards everyone who is brown, let's say, because the Russians, they're not put in ghettos and the treatment is different. And everyone who's non-Jew and everyone who is not white. That's it. So racism is not stopping in the checkpoints. For example, in textbooks, you don't learn almost anything about Arab Jews. They are all called Orientals, from India to Yemen. They're all the same. And the impression that we get from education is that, all the Jews in the world were just sitting for 2,000 years waiting for Zionism to save them.
Is it taught that, God gave the Jews the land?
Well, in secular books, they just prove from the Bible that we've always been here, because they don't talk about God. The Bible is a factual document, yeah. The thing is, it's funny because real biblical scholars say there are no Jews in the Bible. So how can you say that, there were Jews in the Bible? There were tribes that were not very friendly to each other. One of them was Judea. And the word Jews is only mentioned in what is called the external books, not in the Bible. They were the children of Israel. There always been Hebrews here and later Jews. That's true. Yes, this kind of education is child abuse. And then they go to the army. They go to Auschwitz first with a flag, with rifles, accompanied by soldiers, and they shout never again, never again. And then they come back to kill Palestinians because everything is the same. They also learn in Holocaust textbooks that if we had a state and a strong army, we could have beat Hitler, which is completely nonsense.
Has an Israeli Jew served a lot of time in jail and convicted for killing a Palestinian?
Never. Complete impunity for killing Palestinians. Why do you go to the army? To kill Arabs.